Will someone say Jesus changes lives? Good. A little more enthusiastic. Maybe it's because it's 9:30 crowd was like, Jesus changes lives. But then they had some peeps and they were good and it was all right. But Jesus does change lives. And that's what we're talking about this morning. You saw the cardboard testimonies already that Jesus does indeed change lives. And we're going to talk about another guy, one of my favorite stories in the whole Bible. Maybe some of you have heard this before, but I love this story. It's my absolute Flava Flav, all right? I don't know what that means. I'm ridiculous. If you have your Bible, turn to John chapter 9. And once you're there, say, oh yeah, I'm there. Once you're there, say, oh yeah, I'm there. It's just like mini Bible. So dumb. I really need to get some sleep. All right. This is my favorite story of all time. I'm going to break it up for you, give it a little life. But John chapter 9, Jesus heals a man born blind. I love this. Great story. So I hope you have your Bible follow along. If not, read it later. But this is great. It says, as he went along, Jesus and the disciples are walking along. It said he saw a man blind from birth. So let's stop right there just for a second and talk about this guy has been blind since birth. Since the very beginning of time, or this guy's time anyway, he has been blind. He was born blind. He can't see anything. How many of you are watching American Idol right now? Anybody, like any closet idols that you're like, no? Okay. All right, well, my wife watches Idol, which means I watch Idol, all right? That's what happens at my house. And so there's the contestant right now is the guy who's blind. You know what I'm talking about? The guy who's blind. His name is, anybody know? What is it? Ashley knows. What? Scott. All right. And I love Scott. I'm not making fun of blind folks. I just think it's funny because Scott is blind. On the show, he's blind. He can't see. And I love it because when he's jamming out, there's like a camera angle and he can't see, so he's like at a different angle. He's like over here going. And he's like, oh, it's funny. And then they always have to, like, the other night when he got kicked off, he was like walking a different direction. They had to go get him. I'm not making fun of him. I'm just saying that's what happens when you're blind. You do stuff like that, all right? You're blind. And no, don't chide me for making fun of blind people, all right? It's going to get worse. All right, so here's the deal. I'm not making fun of blind people. I'm just telling you the story. I'm on peeps, people. All right, so here's the deal. Jesus is walking along, and he sees this dude who's been blind since birth. Now, let me tell you about the Israelites, what they would do. Back in the day, the Israelites would, if anybody was disabled, they would kick them out of the family, kick them out of the home because something's wrong with you. It must be something that you've done. That's what they thought. The Israelites would think something's wrong with you, and so they sent this blind guy, get out of our house, get out of our community. We don't want you because you're blind. Something is definitely wrong with you. And so this blind guy, you know how he makes his living? He begs for money on the streets. That's how he has to live. That's his job now. That's his means of income. I'm blind. My family has left me. No one wants anything to do with me, so I'm going to sit out here at the edge of town, and when people pass through, I'm going to shake my little deal, and hopefully they'll give me some money. That's how I'm going to collect my money. Now, the Israelites had a real problem with this. Here's a little history for you. In Leviticus 19, I know you guys love Leviticus. Who doesn't? Leviticus 19:14, it says this. God said to the Israelites a long time ago, you guys have got to quit with the disabled stuff. When people are disabled, you got to take care of them and you got to love them. And so way back in Leviticus, God's already getting on to the Israelites saying, look, you have a problem of doing this. You can't keep sending people out because something's wrong with them. I mean, people have leprosy back in the day. You just leave them. If someone was blind, if someone were missing a limb, if something happened that was different, abnormal, we're going to send them out because we don't want anything to do with you. And these people would literally line the streets, line the places of the city, and just beg for money. That's how they would live day to day. They would just do that. So that's a little freebie from me to you because I love you. All right. His disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Now here's the thing. Back in the day, people thought if you were blind or mute or missing something, an arm or something, that it was sin. It was your fault somehow. That was the thought of the day, that if something was happening to you, then it must be your fault. And if it's not your fault, it's your parents' fault. And so they're asking Jesus. They see the blind guy sitting there. And they're like, Jesus, what's the story with this guy? Is it his fault? Why is he blind? Verse 3, neither this man nor his parents sinned, said Jesus. But this happened so that the work of God might be displayed in his life. Now, underline this, circle it, do whatever, but check this out. It says, this happened so that the work of God might be displayed in his life. Here's what's about to happen. Jesus is about to do something really cool, do something really amazing. He's about to change this guy's life. And he's saying the reason this guy's blind is for in a moment like this when I can come and do something really cool in his life. This morning we saw the cardboard testimonies. That's Jesus. He's on display this morning for you. He's on display, and he's saying, look, these changed lives. It's not because they went to some self-help program. It's not because they're in Alcoholics Anonymous. It's not because they went to some, some group that helped them. It's because Jesus Christ changed lives. And so he's saying, I just showed you my glory. I just displayed for you what I'm about. All right? Someone say Jesus changes lives. It's a little weak. We'll have to work on it. Jesus continues, as long as it's day, we must do the work of him who sent me. The night is coming when no one can work. Verse 5, while I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Jesus says, I am the light of the world. And he's about to come in, and he wants to be the light of your world. He wants to do some crazy things in your life. He wants to blow up. Verse 6, stick with me. Having this, he spit. Okay, let me tell you, before we go to verse 6, here's something that we know about this guy. And you guys are going to think that I'm mean, but we've all done this, all right? There's this guy. He's blind since birth. We have kicked him out of the house. We've kicked him out of our community, and he's sitting on the side of the road. He is pretty much a worm, according to this community that he lives in. And so he's sitting there, and he's just begging for money. Do you think that people might have messed with him? I mean, do you think people might have kind of just jacked with his world a little bit? For example, do you think someone probably put like a sign, like a kick me sign on him or something? I mean, come on, let's be honest. That would be, some of you think that's so mean. But we do that all the time, right? When we see homeless guys. Man, I remember one time in high school, we did this. I didn't tell the earlier service this. One time we saw a guy holding a sign. He was homeless. And we saw water next to him, so we drove off and splashed the guy. We thought that was hilarious. We thought that was so funny. Listen, that happens. Why is it that sometimes you and I, we think that we're better than other people, and we tend to look down on the lowly? That's exactly what's happening here in this story. I mean, I think that people probably walked by him, made fun of this guy, probably mocked this guy, probably, I don't know what they did to him. They probably just totally made fun of this guy. Because he was blind, he was weak. If I do something to this guy, what's he going to do? Nothing. He's totally weak. He's totally just there. And so I would imagine that as a teenager, some of you would probably buy into this. I hope that you wouldn't. But sometimes when guys get together, we do stupid things, right? When guys get together, we're like, hey, dude, there's a blind dude over there. Let's go mess him up. That's just a guy's mindset. That's what guys do. And so I had to think that someone is probably jacked with this guy sometime in his life. And he's just sitting there. He's like, man, whatever. I'm blind. I'm just sitting here, and I'm begging you for money. I am lowly as I can get. And I'm just sitting here, and I'm blind. What are you going to do? Notice this.